Thank you for joining us. If you're watching from a recording on YouTube, this is the Sunflower State Libraries program this month here of March 2023. We have Wendy Conover. She's the library director for Baldwin City Public Library. So Wendy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself for our participants today?
Yes, thank you, Dan.
A little
and
history,
thank
you bet.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Wendy Conover. I'm the director of the Baldwin City Library. I've been with the library about 3.5 years. Prior to that, I was actually the sole employee of at our local arts center, and had the privilege of getting that, being the first employee ever of that organization and getting them off the ground. And have also worked for our local Chamber of Commerce. And so I kind of have a little bit of a diverse background that really enjoys community building, which I think was a really good fit for the library.
And speaking of community, let's go ahead and go to our next question. What can you share with us about Baldwin City and Douglas County, Kansas?
Yeah, so Baldwin City, we're a small town, but we have big charm. That's kind of how we like to say it. We're a little under 5,000 people, so we are pretty small, but we are the home of Baker University, which is a 4-year private college. It's historic. It's coming up on 165 years. So it actually is older than Baldwin City itself, which is 150 years old. So we're also the hosts of the yearly Maple Leaf Festival. Dan, have you ever been to the Maple Leaf Festival?
You know what? That was kind of my first experience with Baldwin. I had a friend who lives right off of Main Street, and so for years he would always have a kind of a smoking out in his smoke a bunch of meats in his driveway, and then people would wander as they felt like it. So yes, I am familiar with Maple Leaf, and I always thought it was a lot of fun.
Yes, and that's the case with a lot of people. It's their, first experience with Baldwin, or sometimes their only experience. About 30,000 people, actually more than 30,000 people, come every year, which is absolutely phenomenal if you think about the fact that we're a town of 5,000. We have so many arts and crafts booths, a quilt show, all kinds of really fun stuff. So that's a really big part of our town identity, I think I would say. The library sits downtown, so it's a really wonderful spot for being a partner and connected to all the different events and things that go on in our community. So I really love that about our library, that we're kind of right in the thick of things. We have a lot of rich history here. So we have Blackjack Battlefield. If you're familiar with Civil War history, this was, John Brown himself at the beginning of the Civil War, like right as the Civil War was starting. His anti-slavery forces clashing with the pro-slavery forces. There's the sacking of Lawrence that was all, incorporated all in that. So some really rich history there. We're also on the Santa Fe Trail. So we have a place where you can access, actually, there's a new trail they built where you can go and see literally the ruts that the wagon wheels, they're still there. And when I heard that, I was like, can that really be true? It is true. You can go out there and you can literally see where the wagon ruts, cut through the prairie, because it was a muddy area. It's some of the best ruts, Dan, on the Santa Fe Trail. We have them right here in Baldwin City. So worth your while to see that. And then we also had some really neat downtown development. So like right catty corner from the library, I can see it out my window right now, is Sullivan Square, which is a new development downtown. So it's a really lovely green space that also has a entertainment stage, outdoor stage area, along with the splash pad. And so that has been wonderful to sort of change the trajectory of all different kinds of events and things going on around in Baldwin City. So yeah, that's us.
Neat. Yeah, it's a nice, lively little area. It's a great place to take a walk around that whole downtown area, even during Maple Leaf Festival or any time of year, really. So let's jump in. In the bottom right, you can see that lovely picture of the Baldwin City Library, kind of at dusk, I think, with the flowers hanging there. What can you tell us about the library, how it operates, your staffing, your hours, what the board's like? Just kind of big picture library.
Yeah, so we're a public library, we're a city library. So we have a 7-member board that's appointed by the city, and our mayor is also a part of our board as well. We have service area of just under 5,000. So it's kind of what I talked about before, being a small town, but we do serve a lot of folks around in our school district and in the surrounding area as well. We're open 6 days a week. We're open most days 10 to 7. We're open a half day on Saturdays. We're at about 3.75 FTE. So we have myself as full-time director, and we have 2 full-time librarians and 2 part-time librarians. And I really think of our librarians as sort of the Swiss Army knife of librarians, because I'm sure that's the case for lots of small libraries. They do so many things. Of course, they work the desk and they shelve the books. They also run the programs. They also do janitorial work. I mean, we all do it all, and we all pitch in to make it work. So we're really lucky to have a really strong staff that's very flexible and willing to do those things. So our physical space, we have about 9,000 square feet. And like I said, we have a great little spot. We're downtown. We're right catty corner from Baker University. Yeah, is that, what else do you want to know about our little?
No, that's good. We're kind of going into that next question. So we're going in just to ask about the facilities, your space yourself. And I know you've had, even at your time, which hasn't been forever and ever, you've already done some renovations there. And I know there was a pretty big renovation shortly before you were there, because I was working side by side with the guys putting equipment in. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what you would find inside the library. And I'm going to advance the slide that kind of shows some of those projects, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it. Again, folks, if you have any questions about pictures you see, because Wendy she holds on to apparently, every great picture. And so we're going to have more than anything we can talk about. So if you see something, you're like, oh, what was that? Throw it in chat. We'll get to it.
I sent Dan so many pictures. He's a very good sport. He sorted through them. Good job, Dan. Yeah, so we had an expansion a few years back. It was 2013, 2014. It was before I was here. And that was wonderful in that it added a Kansas room, enabled us to have an activity room, and then also to bump out one wall and get a really nice children's area in our library that we hadn't really had before. And so that was all truly wonderful. One thing that we still needed that I've worked on since I've been here is really workspace and office space for the staff that works here. When I came to the library, there's just this one staff room. There's no offices, and it was all 5 or 6, staff and intern and work study people like in this one same room, and then just the circ desk in front of it. And so just for workflow and productivity, and I kind of right away went to work on what are some options here? Like, how can we get the director their own space, and maybe, a study room or a meeting room of some kind that's closer to the interior space of the library. And so we started to go to work on that, and our friends were really instrumental in helping us. We used some of the money that the friends raised, and then we leveraged that as matching funds for a grant. And then our capital improvement fund came in with the last part. And so we were able, with all of those sources, to put together a really wonderful project. So you kind of see it here on the screen. This is when it was in process. We were able to pick out this lovely glass. It's a metal frame with glass, which one of the things that was important to us was, even though we were closing off a space of the library, we didn't want it to feel closed off. And we wanted that natural sunlight that we had through the windows to come through. And so we went with this glass design that worked out really well. We added the director's office, which I'm sitting in right now, and right next door to it, a collaborative study space as well. What this did, though, was because where this office and study room is sitting used to be the YA section. So this kind of set off a domino effect of moving so many things. A lot of things were moved. Many shelves. The staff really dug in, and we moved YA over and made some adjustments. We ended up moving a lot of our fiction and nonfiction shelves as well. And then, we actually had some leaking windows, which came along, here in about the same process, that caused us to have to replace some drywall. So of course, then we moved shelves away from those walls. And then I said, oh guys, guess what? What if we also rearrange this area? And so we did some rearranging in juniors, all of this with the idea of making the space feel more open and welcoming, and having these spaces where patrons could come in and sit down. So you see in this picture, it's like, this is one of the little spaces we created where kids can come in, and there's an activity table, and there's always something for them to do there, and they can see it right when they walk in the library. So that's been a really fun addition. And then you see on the right-hand side there, that's the finished space with the beautiful glass, and people walk in and it's so funny, even though we carved out that little space, they say, did you bump the wall out? Like, because it really does feel more more open and spacious in here. And also because of a little bit of how we readjusted the shelves, they were kind of at an angle, and we set them in a different angle that opened things up a little bit more. So yeah, that's the work has been really important and exciting. The picture that you're seeing now, this is in the YA section, which is a small section for us, but we added this red couch. And then above it, we created what we call our red couch gallery. And what we do is we feature art from the junior high and high school, so the YA age kids. So there's photography in there sometimes, and we have a really good relationship with the local art teacher at the high school, and she'll bring over work, and it has the kids' names on it, and sometimes kids bring their parents in or their friends in to show them the artwork. And so that's our little red couch gallery, which I think is a really nice use of a small space in a creative way that has a big impact, and that our hope is that it really helps the YA section feel like the kids have a sense of ownership with that in there. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like that you were able to make something big out of, a really kind of tiny space. So
Yeah.
Let's talk about your active friends group. And as we were talking before we started today, the friends group kind of has their fingerprints all over a lot of your projects. So some of the pictures I might show, you can't necessarily tell that what their relationship is to friends, but tell about this active group.
Yeah, our friends group is, they're remarkable, really. I hope I tell them that enough. They're amazing. Every wild idea I bring to them, I think they've said yes. So just that is really remarkable and exciting. So I had this idea of, I mentioned that I was at the Art Center prior to here. And so I'm, as the library now, representing the library on what we call our community mural project. And it's something that I have been involved in, but that I wanted to bring with the library. And it's a really good fit because it's a lot of community connections, and there's a lot of learning that goes on with some of the mentorships and history parts that we work into the murals. So I think it's been a really good fit. And I really thought it would be exciting for us to have a library mural. And so Friends was into that, and they actually took the opportunity to contribute to the mural in honor of a friend that had given a lot of time and talent to the Friends organizations over the years. Ann Walker is her name. And so they donated it on behalf of her, and we actually dedicated the mural that we got to her. So we didn't just do a mural, we actually wanted to do this little thing that I call a parklet, which is like a little area in front of our library. We had to lay concrete. There's the artist Meg Cundiff in the middle, and the two guys from Public Works who helped us a lot. And there's our freshly laid concrete. And you see at the bottom picture those little mushroom caps and flower looking things. Those are musical instruments that look like mushrooms and flowers. And each petal makes a different tone. The mushrooms kind of sound like a big gong. They're super, super fun. And we put those, first of all, in front of the wall where the mural was going to go. And immediately that just really brought a lot of energy and fun to the front of the library. It's like kids all the time, college kids, adults, they love to go through, bang on them, and make those things ring. It's really fun. We had a dedication, ceremony where we dedicated this. That's Anne there in the middle in the blue sweater. Gave her a little piece of the mural to take with her. And then we had the high school band come out and play their drum line, incorporating these flowers and mushrooms, the music of those all together. It was a really fun and festive event. And we unveiled the whole design for the mural at that time. And then the mural went up later, just a few months ago, actually. And the process of getting the mural together was really fun because we used it as an engagement tool in a way. So we told the community we were going to do a mural, and we told them it was going to be garden themed. Downtown Baldwin City has lots of gardeners and lots of garden elements in it. So that seemed to be a really good fit. But what we wanted to do was have the community tell us words, because we were going to it was going to be a garden that included words and quotes. And so we asked for the community to tell us words that reminded them of the library, and also submit their favorite quotes from literature or just, favorite quotable folks. And we got so many good suggestions. So on the mural is not only this beautiful garden scene, but all of these quotes. There's a quote from Charlotte's Web on there. And then there's words like peaceful place and safe space, which are the words that our patrons contributed to say, this is what the library means to me. And so it was all a really rich experience. and such a beautiful pop of color. And you cannot help but see it when you come down High Street. You're like, what is that? And it's just kind of sings out to you. And I really feel like it was a really nice example of a simple form of something called placemaking. If you've ever looked into that sort of concept, it's just using the strengths and positives that you have in, in your location or in your community, and really creating a sense of belonging and a reason to visit. I mean, this is just one more reason to visit. We hear kids all the time ask their mom or dad, like, oh, can we play the flowers before we go? And then, we can very lightly hear them. I can hear them from my office sometimes, out there. I could just really hear people jamming out on it, and it just makes me happy. So that was a really wonderful example of friends sort of sparking a really big project. And then also, the office project that I talked about, it was a $15,000 project. Friends raised $5,000 for that project, which is phenomenal. And then I used that money to apply for a grant and leverage it as matching funds. So we had 5,000 more. And then the library was able to contribute 5,000 from the capital improvement fund. So then all of a sudden we have this beautifully balanced contribution from all these different sources to get something that was really quality and that looked really beautiful in the library. We could have done it for less than that. It wouldn't have looked anything like it does now, and it may not have lasted. I don't think it would have lasted as long. And it wouldn't have made that impact when you walk in. It's like that sense of pride of people. They walk in and they say, oh, it's really beautiful in here. And I think that's really important in a way for people to feel that way about their library. So yes, I can't say enough wonderful things about our friends group. They do a mum sale in the fall, they do a plant sale in the spring, they do a book sale in the summer. It really seems like they are constantly working to support the library however they can. And they're just a really great group of people. And our library just would not be the same without them.
Yeah, it seems to me, as long as I've been around, is that Baldwin has always really had some great volunteer work, because so many of the people I would interact with were not employees. So, and I love that your flower mural is in the same, and your flower garden is in the same spot that I always kind of attribute to your plant sale, because before you created a space or this parklet out of it, that was, at least twice a year you'd go by to the library and it would be alive with all these plants. So it's nice to see that that's kind of a year-round feature now.
It is.
So
yeah, it's
so
very good.
Let's continue learning about the library. I told you this goes fast because we're already halfway through, and this is my pitch to anybody who's here. It's really painless, and I always need new people to interview for this. So definitely consider reaching out to me. So let's talk about programs at the library, and we've got pictures, but feel free to talk about anything you feel like, Wendy. This is our first images that we have to go along with this question about library programming.
This is great. Thank you. I love this project. So this is a project we've been working on for, I think it's 2 years now. This is the Birds of All Feathers project. And I'm really proud of the inclusion and diversity work that our library has done. And this is one way that we've done it. So our goal here is to make 1,000 paper cranes. And in case you've never made 1,000 paper cranes, it is a whole lot. It is way more than you maybe think it might be. And so we are, as of this week, I just checked, we keep a tally, we're at 887. So we are getting there. And the point of this, if you've heard of the Japanese tradition of making 1,000 paper cranes, is that at the end you make a wish. If you make the cranes, you get to make a wish. And our wish is for inclusion and diversity, embracing of diversity in our community. So every time someone makes a crane, we ask them to think about what is one thing you can do to respect or include others in our community. So we just ask them to think about that. And so some of them we have written on the cranes. So you see like there in the bottom one that says be yourself. They say all kinds of beautiful things. So some folks choose to write on them. Some folks just choose to be part of the whole, just make the crane and hang it up. Some folks choose to make a paper airplane or a flower or whatever. And that's part of the point, is that you're welcome in this flock. This is a flock where everyone is welcome. And so the fun thing is that people walk into the library, and it's one of the first things you notice, and they're like, what are all these cranes about? In fact, I made a little QR code that says, what are all these cranes about, that you can scan so that you can find out. And this has come in part, this project has come in part from this group called BCK United, Baldwin City, Kansas United. That's been a really fun project for me. It's junior high, high school, and college age kids, and it is focused on wellness, inclusion, and diversity. And this is one of the projects that they've helped with. They've also done all kinds of fun things. Like they made the high school portion of this group made a zine, which is if you don't know what that is, it's a DIY mini magazine, like a photocopied magazine. Yes, here they are. There's our BCK kids. Called One Call Away. It's right there at the bottom. And features 988, which is the suicide crisis hotline, as well as all of the different talk and text resources that these teens thought that their peers needed to know about. So they wanted their peers to feel supported. They wanted their peers to feel empowered. And so they basically they just started doing research, and it was great as librarians for us to help them with this. They actually, even called some of these lines to, hear what the experience was like. They designed this zine that is just chock full of great, empowering places you can call for support. And then we produced it, and we had a huge kickoff party for it, so that all of those folks in the middle there, that's the kickoff party. So we were blown away by how many people came to see us for this. We've done all kinds of different little community events with this group, and it's been a really wonderful way to engage that junior high, high school, and college age. And there are 3 distinct kind of groups for that, but they do also interact and have some really wonderful natural mentoring that happens between those age groups of kids. So, and beyond, that, we have lots of other programs. Like we definitely have programs for all ages. We've got, like I said, librarians who are really willing to be creative and think outside the box and do all kinds of different things. So we've had a train time, which is the picture you see there, where a man in the community brought his model train. It was a huge hit, and people of all ages just absolutely love to stand there and watch his train go around and ask him questions and learn about model trains. We've got our summer programs are really wonderful. We have kind of certain things that are traditions for us. So like you'll see the alpaca farm down there in the right-hand side. That's Ad Astra Alpacas, which is just right outside of Baldwin City. A really wonderful local family who will literally set up a pen and bring the alpacas. And then, the kids at Storytime learn about the alpaca's hooves, their feet. They don't have hooves, they have toes actually. Their feet and their fluff and their food that they eat. And we'll read books about alpacas and talk about that. And we have a wonderful relationship with the local retirement home, assisted living, Vintage Park here in town. I can't say enough good things about them. Last year, it was Oceans of Possibilities for the theme. So they had with us, so we had a library program where we had a water fight with the retirement home. So we went out in the parking lot, and you can see them down there with their squirters, and little kids of all ages and big kids, older kids, squirted each other and had a grand old time squealing and laughing and getting wet. So I just can't say enough good things about the partnerships that we have. That is really what enriches our library so much. It's things that we would never be able to pull off on our own, or we wouldn't even probably think of on our own, because we have these partnerships that we have really grown and tended. So many things come our way where it's like, it just feels like, more partnership grows more partnership, and it just keeps, spiraling in a really wonderful way. So our programs, I would say the partnership projects that we do are really kind of our powerhouse, I guess.
And a very multi-generational, at least on that last slide.
Yes, and you see in this slide, this is from last year. It was very fun. It was a fun theme. We kind of went all over the place with it. We kind of follow the theme, but we also just kind of do our own thing, which is also fun. One of the things that the Vintage Park folks did for us, see that picture there, that's our children's librarian, Shara. Those are links. We decided to try to really show the kids like how much reading time they were accumulating. So for every 2 hours they read, they got to fill out a little link with their, what they read and things on it. And then Vintage Park put all those chains together for us. And so by the end, we had enough to go like all across the library and back. And so kids would come in and see those hanging from the ceiling, and that was really fun. And then down there in the corner, that's actually our little interactive projector that we have, which is a really fun new tool that we got. We use that during summer reading too, to have kids come in, and there's tons of different games loaded on that, and they can sit down there and it reads their movements. And so it kind of is a really fun technology game, but it's also really active. And so that's a kind of a nice combination. We always, of course, have our photo op there with our
Wendy,
shark.
can
I don't know
you
what we'll have this year.
can you tell us what the name is of that video projector, the interactive projector you have on the floor? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's called an OBIE, OBIE projector.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's kind of like turning your floor into a tablet. With like multi people using it. So sorry, just wanted to throw that out there that I have had hands-on experience with OB.
No, 100%, Dan. Thank you for mentioning it. It was actually one that we did that was, I think, no, that wasn't a Friends project. That was a Giving for Good project that we did with Douglas County Community Foundation. One year we raised money for that. And it was something that is like whenever it's going and someone even just walks by, they're like, what is that? And it really draws people in because, and we'll play with our BCK United kids, which are junior high kids. They love playing on it and stuff because it's just, there's music, there's lights, and it's very different. It's, if you've ever seen, sometimes they have them at, like, I've seen them at like dentist office and things like that. Occasionally you'll see something like that where it's like a waiting room kind of toy, but this one has, like, I forget, 200 and some games on it. So all kinds of different things that you can do. Yeah. And I think the other thing I would say is, like, look at this picture of this kid. That's one of the little ones who won one of our summer reading raffle prizes. So one of the things we do is they read for tickets, and they can put their tickets in, then we pull one winner, and this is just a great example of, our friends. They really help us do some prizes that are really appealing to kids, and the kids are very motivated. So, this is, llama stuff, but there's also, we've had bikes or skateboards or things like that. And so that really enhances our summer reading too, to have those prizes that kids really get, their eyes get big and they really want to read as many, as much as possible to get those tickets. And then this is one of the programs that we do. Some of you other librarians, I'm sure, have done it. It's the Touch a Truck concept, right? So it's like letting families get up close and personal with fire trucks, police cruisers, bucket trucks, tractors. We had our local tractor company bring a huge big tractor out. And then, the firefighters are absolutely wonderful. The police are absolutely wonderful. They really talk to the kids. They let them get up in the trucks. They show them, some of the equipment, let them, try on, feel how heavy, certain things that they wear a helmet, get pictures, that kind of thing. It's really well attended. We close off the street downtown for it when we do it. Again, because of our location, we're really lucky. The fire department is right across the street. We close that all up, and people really come out for it. I think last year's 1 or 200 people, something like that, came out, which for our little town and little library is pretty darn good. So yeah, that's a kind of a tradition for us, as well as Touch a Truck. Usually we do it during summer reading. I don't know what else pictures we have, Dan. What else do we have? Dan is.
Sorry, I was having a visitor.
Okay.
I think that might be it for our photos, and we're just about out of time. So that means that we get gold stars for. Oh wait, I guess we have got this. Your Kansas room stuff. We can talk about that for a moment.
Okay, cool. Sure, I would love to. So we got a grant to do some digitization work in our Kansas room. And this is a partnership with our city. So what we're digitizing is actually city ledgers, city council ledgers. So minutes and ordinances and things that had never been digitized and really were only existing in these, look at these books, you all, like, oh my goodness. Like I think we started in 1870s is where the first book started. And we've gotten up to like 1950s and 60s now. So this is definitely preserving our history in a really meaningful way. This is a grant that we got with the Kansas Historical Society Archives, and they had really enabled us to get this work done. We're able to get it done in-house by training some of our volunteers and also having some experts come in to help guide us, which has also been a wonderful learning curve for our library to learn, some more skills that we can take forward and help ourselves in the future. But yeah, this has been, and one of the amazing things that I don't know, I'm kind of a local history nerd, but Lucy Sweet Sullivan was the mayor of Baldwin City in 1889. She was elected with an all-female city council, so that's a remarkable bit of history. And whenever I went to get these, I got to walk up to City Hall to get these, and I walked by right where Lucy's house used to be, because her house was where Sullivan Square is now. So I walked back and I opened those up, and I got to see Lucy Sullivan, mayor. You know, you can see it in that picture there, where she signed in 1889. And that really meant a lot to me as just a Baldwin City person and a woman. And so I'm just really proud of that. And I'm so glad that we can save this history, because literally these books are obviously they're falling apart. So that's a really important, I think, project that our library could do for the community. And I'm really proud of it.
That's very neat. I think that we are very lucky to have you as a guest today, but Baldwin, I have to say, is very lucky to have you at the helm of this library. Just from this description, we didn't get to talk much about the seed library as we're running out of time here, but it looks like we did have some photos. They've got a grow light going. I was down there a couple weeks ago, so they've got seedlings popping out, mostly flowers. It looked like, as far as what was going being grown. But a nice program, and obviously really handsome looking old card catalog drawers there. I believe that library has been doing a seed program for quite some time, correct?
We were, and then it went away for a while. It was actually, when I came here, it wasn't going anymore. And whenever I asked the staff, I said, hey, I want to write this grant, and it should be something wellness focused. And they're like, bring back the seed library. So I said, all right, let's do it. And it's been really popular and really fun to see kids who really love. It's actually right outside my office right here, to go see all the baby seedlings growing. Is very fun.
Yeah, and it's an attractive little showcase over there too, a little life in the library. So I think that's all we have today, folks. We really appreciate you also participating. I'm sure if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Wendy, do you feel like sharing your email address to anybody that has any questions on that?
Of course, yes.
Okay, I will put that in the chat. And again, we are always looking for people who can share about their library. It's a great time to work on advocacy. I'm sure Wendy's going to share this out with her board and her friends group, so they can know all that great work she's doing. So feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll be happy to fill you in on anything we didn't quite get to today. So that's all for today, folks, and we'll hope to see you on another month here at the Sunflowers State Libraries program. So see y'all later.